Right then, welcome back to the channel. In this video today, we're going to compare Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 Tech Alpha to Vanilla MSFS 2020. And as you can see here, we're at London City using the exact same settings, live weather, everything is the same. I've even taken off photogrammetry and made sure that MSFS 2020 is stock to give it a fair comparison. The only thing I haven't done is shown the FPS counter, simply because I don't think that's very fair at this point, being an alpha. So here we are, and I think this is a very good test of both flight modelling, live weather, visual fidelity, everything really. And I will talk about performance because with ultra settings on both sims, in 2024 I was getting between 75 and 85 frames per second in TAA mode, using an RTX 4090 with a 13900K Intel based CPU. With 2020 I was getting well over 120 frames per second. So I mean, considering the fact that the visual fidelity here, I personally feel isn't a massive difference really. When you see them back to back like this, I think this really showcases that while 2024 is a very nice leap ahead in terms of what it's offering, especially for the future, it's not a huge difference when looking at them back to back at this point in time. Notice how interestingly the water effects, they look a little bit lighter, a little bit more transparent I think, and the shadows and overall lighting is a lot better, without a doubt. By the way, if you've noticed, there's a bit of a strange glitch with 2024. I keep losing my autogen for a second. Not sure if that's server based or not. But overall, you can see here, what really surprised me is the flight behaviour of the Cessna 172. It seems very similar. I don't really notice any massive flight modelling changes. They're both sort of bobbing around a little bit in turbulence, but there isn't a huge difference in fluid flight modelling. So as you can see with the clouds as well, this is live weather, exactly the same time of day and everything. And I do feel that 2024, it has a nicer colour palette and the clouds are more refined. There's different types of shading in those clouds, and you can tell with a trained eye that the ray march reflections and light scattering and ambient occlusion effects are better. And I do think perhaps if this weather was a lot more dramatic in terms of heavy cloud, perhaps wind, then there would be a difference between them both, because when going through cloud and particularly through thunderstorms, you can definitely tell you're getting thrown around a lot more, and in a motion rig that's going to be interesting to experience. I think what lets it down a little bit, by the way, that flashing there, that's me taking a screenshot, so ignore that. But I do think what lets 2024 down a little bit is the auto-gen. Now I do believe we're going to get a brand new auto-gen system at some point, but I don't think that's going to make it for the full release. So let's just make our way over to the Shard now. I have tried my best to match this up as much as possible, especially considering my time is severely limited and the alpha isn't out for very long. But hopefully this does give you some indication. This is not supposed to be a scientific test, it's just a fun comparison, and I do appreciate this is a tech alpha, so it's not the final product. I think that needs to be, highlighted more than once here. So let's just have a look now of the outside, because I feel this is quite a difference when you look at these back to back. First of all, look at the lighting of the buildings and the different colours, and the way that the lighting is hitting the buildings is definitely a huge improvement. Even the aircraft itself, there's a nice autumnal feel about it, especially as you can see that the trees have seasons now, and that does make a difference. Although, to be the devil's advocate here a little bit, I can't help but feel, what would this be like if I added in the new Rex Atmos program, because that does create a great atmospheric effect for 2020, along with some of the season programs. I think it would be quite close to this. What do you think? Please do let me know in the comments below, but keep them nice, guys. As I say, we're all in this together. We're all aviation and VR enthusiasts, and we all want the best for this sim. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. This scene here really shows off how overblown the sky is in MSFS 2020, and especially when in the cockpit as well. Sometimes you can't really see the sky and the clouds very well. I do feel, as I've said many times before, the star of the show for me so far is the new lighting engine, which, I mean, as I say, you could argue could have been an update, but we won't get into that, okay? Because I do feel that they did need to go back to the drawing board a little bit here with this new sim. Anyway, let's now head over to Innsbruck. We're in the default F-18 Hornet, and I've got a few things to say about this, especially the flight modelling. So as we trundle down the runway, notice the difference in textures, because that is a big deal under the hood with 2024, is when you're up close and personal to textures, whether they're cliff edges, runway textures, trees, which you'll see in a minute for the grand finale, which is pretty mind-blowing. It's all about that finer detail that you can definitely see with the extra 4,000% more texture resolution or detail that they've mentioned. Well, it definitely shows in certain scenarios. Again, notice the autumnal colours, very, very nice, quite subtle there. And I did struggle to match this up a little bit, but as you can see here, when we start banking into the valley, you'll notice that we are kind of back to where we should be again. So in terms of the flight modelling, I've always thought that 2020 was quite, well, lackluster to say the least. Fighter jets just felt pretty awful, very twitchy, very unrealistic. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a real world fighter pilot, believe it or not. I know you might think I am one, but I'm not. Joking, by the way. But I must admit, 2024 definitely feels a lot more substantial when you do those high G manoeuvres. It just feels like something is happening. It feels more, I guess, fluid and like you're really fighting the elements. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think DCS World has anything to worry about, but as you know, flying fighter jets all over the world in this sim, especially in VR, is something very special. So it's great to see that the fighter jets have received some love, and that hopefully the flight modelling will get improved more and more over time. But I think both sims here look quite similar. What do you think? Anyway, now for the grand finale. Welcome to Scotland, one of my most favourite places on this earth. And here we're just going down the beach near Oban. Look at the difference here. I mean, I don't really need to show the name tags for each sim. It's pretty damn obvious, isn't it? I mean, the extra detail of the sand and even the water effects there, it's just beautiful. And it only gets better when we have a look at the trees. I mean, this isn't supposed to be Tree Simulator 2024, but if it was, well, you know, it'd be a pretty good one. Because the difference here is absolutely night and day. And that's something I haven't really said until you get up close and personal to the objects, textures, and just, you know, being inside the world. And I think that's one thing that really sets apart this sim, because you're going to immerse yourself in a living and breathing world like never before. And getting out your aircraft and exploring some of these areas, it's going to be fantastic. Anyway, let's just have a look here at the wind effects and weather effects. Now, I think some YouTubers out there are getting very excited about the fact trees move. Well, sorry to tell you that MSFS 2020 already had moving trees in the wind, only that this time they look obviously a lot better because you've got the swaying of the branches. They look a lot more believable when they move. Notice how, well, you won't notice in this video, but the sounds haven't really been upgraded. There's more sounds been added, which is great, but the sort of default sounds of the wind, well, they're exactly the same in both sims, and that goes for a lot of the aircraft as well. That's just me taking a screenshot there. So let me know, guys, what are your thoughts on this comparison? And please do share and like and subscribe and all the things that you have to ask as a YouTuber, especially because videos like this take absolutely forever to make. But for now, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care, and bye for now. Oh, I've got to go back to Scotland. Friggin' love that place.